welcome to Go For Side Effects. I am your host, Wade Renard. And do we have a darn good show for you all tonight? Everybody knows my co-host, John. How you doing tonight, John?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Everybody knows our faithful leader and founder, Kevin. How you doing, man?
Howdy.
And tonight we got a special guest on, somebody that we're going to have a lot of time to pick the brain, get to a lot of questions regarding what's going on with the DOD, Desert Storm issues. But there's a lot more to get to before that. And it's Ronald Brown.
Good.
Thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thank y'all for having me on.
It's very special to me because Ron was in the 82nd Airborne in the 504th. I served in the 505th, sister brigades. So, to me, it is very special to get him on here as a guest. Not only as a Desert Storm advocate, but more important as a Desert Storm veteran. We got a lot of information to get to tonight. Kevin has only given me 3 hours to get through it, so I'm kidding. So, yeah, I guess we'll dive right on in. Ron, so if you give us a little background about your military history from...
Ronald Brown went in the military in 89 through 92, served Operation Just Cause in Panama, Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
What was Operation Just Cause? Some people might not be exactly familiar with that.
Operation Just Cause was an operation where the U.S. and then U.S. forces to remove dictator Manuel Noriega from power. And we lost some good paratroopers during that event, and it sucked, but it's part of the job. So,
part of the job. Me and you talked about it, and I don't think a lot of people really realize. But you actually jumped into Panama, correct?
That is correct.
Can you
There was 21 C-141s that left out of Bragg on December the 19th. We jumped in at between 2 and 2:15 on the 20th. That's a.m. in the morning, and everything from that point was fast and furious. We gained control of Tokum International Airport, and from there we air mobiled to Tenajitas and had to fight up a massive hill. Everything in Panama seemed like it was uphill or downhill, and the bottom of every hill was water. And we had to fight uphill to get to the Tiger. They're called the PDF Tigers barracks.
So, and I know, but I don't think a lot of people realize who have exposure to this. Particularly like someone like in the Navy wouldn't have exposure to this. But so when you're jumping in a combat situation, at what altitude are you jumping?
You jump 500 AGL. Usually no reserve. I mean, you don't have a time enough for a reserve to open. You have a main parachute.
So by the time they call it green ramp, it was Pope Air Force Base back there, green ramp. Mm-hmm. You are loaded up with a parachute. You're loaded up with all your gear, ammunition, supplies for a couple of days. Would you guesstimate your weight to be about 150 plus pounds that you're carrying?
Easily.
And you're loaded on a C-141, and now you're going to fly.
Yep.
The doors open up. No reserve parachute. The enemy's shooting up at you, and you're throwing your body out of a perfectly good aircraft.
That is correct. And, the shock of it was when we left Bragg, it was 19 degrees and freezing rain, and the doggone, they had to de-ice the planes. And when they opened the door, it was like 90 degrees. And you went from one extreme to another, no time to acclimatize yourself, and you hit the ground and you're fighting to get control of the airport. And then from there, you're air mobiling to another objective to hit that. And you talking about hard. It was hard. They were telling everybody when we were at Green Ramp, lose the snivel gear. you didn't. I mean, if you had some type of thermal top on or something, lose it. I mean, you're not going to need it where you're going.
Now, you guys, you get awards. Everybody gets rewards for deployments. But what is the one award that we talked about that you got?
I got a combat jump. First time since World War II that the 82nd had participated in. It was about 4,000 troopers that jumped in.
And what signifies combat jump?
You get a bronze star on your jump wings.
In between the risers of your jump wings.
Yep.
Now, what I explained to Kevin was, you go to airborne school and you get your jump wings. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets jump wings. Mm-hmm. When you get on Bragg, you have 12, 15,000 other paratroopers who have jump wings. Mm-hmm. You're basically a nobody. That means absolutely nothing because everybody else has them. And so the main goal the whole time you're there is you want that little star.
It's right.
And what I told Kevin was, my uniform looked pretty good when I walked off Bragg, but I would give back every decoration, every award, everything I ever received to get that little star.
Yeah, it's just a matter of luck. You don't get to pick your deployments. I happened to be in at a time when a deployment happened. There was a combat jump that was, able to be made, and I'm thankful.
Oh,
yeah, he froze up. Yeah, he froze up a little bit. Hopefully, we can get him back here real quick. It will be on his end, but so this, what you're actually talking about on there is actually pretty much when you jump out of an airplane. Is what the way I'm taking this. When you jump out of an airplane, are you telling me that to get that thing, you're going into combat? People are shooting at you on the ground while you're jumping in at 500 feet.
Correct. Yeah, jumping in at 500 feet. And like you said, I mean, you're leaving. They left and it was 19 degrees. And after you fly that long and you're just sweating, you got to go to the bathroom. The only thing you want to do is get out of that airplane. And so when they open up that door and you see that green light, you're just running towards the door.
Here it goes.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Hey, no, it's fine. It's fine because I was just asking him about when y'all open up that door, green light. I mean, I'm telling y'all right now, this is why I went in the Navy, just to let everybody know.
So
right there,
I didn't know. So Ronald, you just I never thought about it because you don't know what you don't know. I had no interest in going to airborne school. But that being said, you just explained that the jump is 500 feet with no reserve, and I'm like, what the hell's a casualty rate? When you're jumping 500 feet, no reserve, there's got to be a casualty rate at that because there's got to be a shoot here or there, don't deploy.
Well, luckily, everybody's shoot deployed. We did have some broken bones on the drop zone. People got cut up pretty good when you land in razor grass, about 10 or 12 foot tall, trying to maneuver through that. And but luckily, everybody shoot open. We did lose some Sheridans that hit in, like I said, at the bottom of every hill with water or marsh. And some of them sunk out of sight. And, but other than that, it went pretty smooth. And like I said, when we came back to Bragg, we didn't land. We all jumped onto Sicily drop zone. You know where that's at, Wade.
Oh, yeah.
And you had 4,000 paratroopers in the sky because one bird was offset here. These people are in the air. This person's over here. This plane's unloading. And it was a hell of a spectacle. I stand corrected. It was 1,900, but a total of 4,000 deployed, but 1,900 jumped back in the Bragg.
Wow.
So yeah, to see a spectacle like that, they do it every year. They recreate what they call Operation Market Garden.
Yep.
And that's just to see, literally thousands of paratroopers in the air at the same time. It's just
we'll be there next year to witness that for the 82nd anniversary of D-Day in person.
And I got a question for you. This is what this is kind of funny to me. So I know what the textbook answer is, but once you hit the ground, you pull riser, you get out of your harness. The next step that you're supposed to do is what they is to put your weapon into operation.
Yep.
But what if when we're at Bragg, that's never really the case. Not for training.
You dig in your bag, get the pokey bait out, lay there a while. You don't want to get back too soon.
Yeah, you will see on the drop zone, probably 90% of the troopers are they're up there relieving themselves because you've been flying around for hours.
Yep.
You got to go.
A lot of injuries where
a lot of casualties
and stuff, and then you jump in somewhere, and that's exactly how it plays out.
So, but really? I think in your situation, that putting the weapon into operation probably actually played true.
Yep. You do that. You're supposed to do that first. Then you do look around, see if anybody's looking. You relieve yourself if you need to be, or whatever. But it is what it is. I've always been taught you train how you want to fight. So.
Right. So after Panama, you guys get back to Bragg, and that would have been you're going into 1990.
Yeah, we came back in 91, January 12th, 1991.
Well, when did you guys? Because we were on DRF1 down at JRTC, and that was in August, the first part of August. We were coming out of the intensive training cycle. And then when did you guys arrive over in Saudi?
I got boots on the ground 16 August.
16 August. So did you guys go to Champion, Maine?
Yes, we did. We left Panama, came back. Then 2 months later, we went back to Panama for JOTC. Then we came back and deployed in August to Operation Desert Shield, or in support of Operation Desert Shield, which I guess it was August the 7th. It turned into Operation Desert Shield officially. And boots on the ground, August 16th, and did what we had to do over there, training just nonstop. Had the same MOP suit from the time I got there to the time we left. Same, no new filters in the mask. Same ones you were putting on and off. There was no charcoal left in your MOP suit at all, where you put it on and off and on and off, and it was kind of useless, but made a good pillow.
We probably moved. I'm sure the brigades probably moved fairly similar in the in formation locations. So we crossed the line. What I believe, if I remember right, February 24th, the night of 23rd into the 24th. You were on one side of Camisea.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about
to the southeast side. We according to the Gulf War fire thing, and where our map showed us, I can find that in my pictures here. I can hold it up here and show you in front of the camera, and you'll be able to see it. It's pretty close. It's not like where you were telling me you have an exact of where your positions were that you got off of Gulf Link, where the 505, but this here was the one based on the oil well fires, and it showed the different positions from where you first arrived in country to where you moved up to the neutral, or right before the border, right before the ground war kicked off. And then it showed where you were here and where you ended up before you came back. So, I mean, I just got to get to it up here. It's back, and I got about 6,000 pictures on this thing, but it is pretty doggone fascinating to see it. Here it is right here. All right. I don't know if you can see this here.
Yeah.
All right. It's got little dots on it. Okay. You can see where Camisea is on it.
Yeah.
Now, for those, so Ron, for those people in the unlikely event that the viewers of tonight's broadcast, if they're unfamiliar what Kamasi is, can you break it down for those who don't really know what that is?
Yeah, it was a massive bunker complex in southern Iraq. It was made up of hundreds of bunkers as well as warehouses that had ammunition. I mean, boatloads of ammunition. Matter of fact, General Johnson in his hand-drawn maps, he was the division general that was with us during Panama and Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. He said they destroyed enough that was equivalent. It was 13.5 kilotons. And I think he said the Hiroshima bomb was 14 kilotons of TNT. So it was massive explosions.
Okay, so I have
Okay.
a question. I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So I know that they talked that they thought the wind was going to, drive it one way, but it came back over on top of most of the Army guys. And so, me and Wade have talked about this. How much exposure to the guys in the Navy do you think got exposed to any of that? Do they have like a prediction? Or if there was any?
Well, I don't know. There's a possibility that during the air wars that people down into Saudi Arabia, King Khalid, military city there were some readings, but the Department of Defense has dismissed all of those. The only two events that they recognize and for any type of a chemical exposure, and they're the only two cohorts that they've asked the VA to follow over the years, and that is the Kamasia and the Al Jabral. Something happened at Al Jabral. They've asked them to follow 1,300 people. They asked VA to follow 154,000 people on the Kamasi event. And basically the reason that is they did a modeling in 97. They figured out something and decided to do another remodeling. Some people who received letters in the 97 modeling didn't get a letter in the 2000. They were removed. Some people who got letters, didn't get letters, were added to it. In the original modeling, I think it was 99,000 people in 97. It went up to 101,000 in a 50 kilometer radius that they drew a big, like the guy said, Roster said, we're going to draw a big ass circle around Kamasia, 50 kilometers, and we're going to call that the hazard area. And whatever troops were inside of that, based on the modeling, the wind direction, and all of that, the plume cloud is based over a 3 or 4 day time frame, and wherever it went based on the weather.
Okay, well, that answered that. That was a good answer. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was one of my main questions. And
I wish they did, Kevin. I think that there's information to support, there's studies to support more people with low level exposure, but the DOD doesn't accept those studies. Some of those were done by Dr. Haley, or Jim Tewitt and Dr. Haley. And sadly, they don't recognize them. So They stick with what they have. They paid $20 million to do this peer-reviewed study on this back in 97. And they're not going to budge from it. So I'm trying to help veterans who came home sick based on this exposure. And do I wish I could get everybody covered? Yep. I absolutely do. But I've got to play within the field of play that I'm allowed here.
I agree with that. I agree 100%.
Like with the Vietnam veterans, when that first started, it was just boots on the ground in Vietnam. And what I'm hoping is at some point, if you can get this group here taken care of, this is going to expand to like the brown water Navy. Then you had the blue water Navy. Then you had the C-123 or the aircraft that were hauling it, and that got added in on the presumptions. So I'm hoping at some point that this is how this is going to play out, but I can't guarantee that.
Yeah, because I seen the maps and everything, and I mean, I was in Jabal. Jabal. So I was on a supply ship, so we were in and out all the time.
Yeah,
and so I think our biggest thing was oil well fires.
mm-hmm.
We were exposed to so much petroleum out in the Gulf that's why I think I wish they would separate it into different categories. Yeah, and stuff like that, and that's how I look at it.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with you, and I know Marines. If you look at that Gulf War fire thing that I showed you, where it had the unit location, I never saw one Marine that did that, because you had to enter your Social Security number, and they did an assessment based on where you were. And I've seen tons of Marines, none of them, and they were right in the oil well where the oil wells were, and it was burning, and they were there for several weeks. None of them had nothing on theirs that would say, well, this could cause harm. Nothing. I mean, it was all good for you, apparently. I mean, eating those MREs with the little petroleum droplets raining down on you while your uniform's soaked, that was good for you. Who'd have thunk it?
And it is amazing, because I mean, I know Wade's got a lot of questions, but that's probably going to be my last question on most of that topic.
Mm-hmm.
Is I wish the DOD, and I wish like Secretary of the VA, I wish one of them would come on and just let us have a conversation on here. I know they never will. Doug Collins, I have seen him on podcasts, because I would like to say, hey, why don't you take a look at these different areas, from an outside view of what we get brought into this podcast. Like, tell them y'all need to listen to the podcast and listen what guys say separately of what they were exposed to.
Oh yeah. The sad part is, and most veterans don't realize this, the VA, I'm not defending them. They've made a lot of mistakes over the years. Our veterans have struggled with their presumptive claims with the VA. I'm not going to defend that in any way, shape, or form. But most veterans don't realize the VA doesn't set battlefield exposures. Battlefield exposures are who you deploy with. That's the Department of Defense. If they brief the VA on an exposure, the VA will provide care and compensation based on exposure and any illness or condition that you're suffering from that. Okay. If they don't brief, or they half-heartedly brief or leave doubt, then the VA is not going to pay. The veteran's going to struggle. So a lot of people need to realize everybody, the VA does enough to get beat up for. I'm not saying they don't, okay? They make their own mistakes. But the people that you would want to talk to would be DOD. And I can assure you, they're not going to come on a public thing like this and say anything.
Right. Because exactly. And I mean, and that's also, like I had one guy say, well, y'all signed up. I say that I signed up healthy.
Oh, no, the same as workman's comp. If you're on a job in the private sector, you get hurt on that job, workman's comp's going to take care of you. It's no different.
And I was fortunate, though, back in the early 90s, I literally had a doctor said, hey, the conditions that he has to be from some type of exposure from Desert Storm.
Yeah.
And luckily, that doctor at the VA said that. Mm-hmm. And back then, he goes, I'm just letting you know, man, but when y'all turn, he goes, I'm about to leave here, but when y'all turn about 40, 45, y'all are screwed. And I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And have VA doctors say that.
Yeah,
it's just
that's what
amazing.
I mean. The first thing I remember, and I've told Wade this, the first time I felt sick, the entire time I was over there. Okay, I got shots somewhere around the a couple days to a week after we arrived there in country. My arm was sore. Did push-ups, no problem. Didn't have any issues. I took pills, no problem. Now I did see somebody who took shots, had a convulsion, went into convulsions, and was medevaced out of country to Germany. Never saw them again. I saw somebody who started taking PB pills and passed out, and they were sent out. First time I ever felt any type of sickness was within 15 minutes after the first demolitions went off on March 4th. I was sweating profusely. I had blurred vision, difficulty breathing. My head was about to split wide open, and I got an IV from the medic, told to take a knee face out, and you did what you did. But the problem is I stayed sick from that point. I never felt good from that point on. Left country, came home. We got home. The first thing we got was a 4-day weekend because I think we had to go on mission cycle just as soon as we came back from that. Well, I had a PT test. I noticed my PT test, I couldn't make the run. I was 163 pounds. I had scored between 250 and 290 on my PT test. My last PT test I had before we deployed, I had, I think it was a 13:54 2-mile run. That's not Olympic speed, but it's not bad either. So, my 2-mile run, I barely passed my push-ups, barely passed the sit-ups. I simply couldn't breathe. And I was over, I think, 18, 19 minutes, which is failing for my age. On the AFPT test for the 2-mile run. And then I ended up starting to fall out of road marches. I just could not, was doing 12-mile road marches in 2 hours 38, 2 hours 40 minutes. Came back, couldn't do it. So I was not meeting standards, and being in a rapid deployment unit, as you can ask Wade, they don't have much patience if you can't meet standards. So about that time, I managed to survive long enough to because I couldn't explain why. I didn't know why. I couldn't explain why, it scored a 290 on one PT test and this one here. I mean, if it was PTSD related, well, that would have been in Panama. I mean, we actually had people injured and killed in Panama. So, I didn't have any issues then. If I would have been smart, but you don't get taught this stuff as a lower enlisted, I would have fought them for medical retirement. But I didn't know enough about it. So when they were doing the reduction in forces in, I think it was January 92, I put in for that. It was back in the end of 91. I was approved for it. And my last day in the military, because I was afraid I was going to be put out on something other than an honorable discharge because I wasn't able to meet standards. So I applied for it, got accepted, and it cut a year off of my enlistment obligation. I spent the rest of my time in inactive reserves till 97.
Wow, man. And I like Tina, brings up a good question. I wonder if this is what impacts energy levels now. And I mean, it very well could. It could just be all sorts of stuff. I mean, we were just exposed to so much.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's not a single exposure. But to have an exposure event that involves chemical weapons, it needs to be fully recognized. The language, one of the things we're working on with the Department of Defense is to have new notification letters sent back out to people because they didn't even use the same language that they use in their investigation. If you go back and look at the Comicia case narrative conclusions, I think I showed that to you, Wade. They absolutely use that some troops were likely. Likely has a lot more legality to it than the word may. From the time they did that case narrative to the time they issued the letters, the language changed from likely to you may. If you were with your units, you may have been exposed.
May have. Yep, is what the letter says.
That leaves doubt.
Wow. That's it. I mean, that's what I guess with anything that they put in there, they change the language by the time it gets out to the public.
Well, somebody got conservative and you know, the people we're meeting with, they agreed with us that, you know, the language should have stayed the same. It shouldn't have been downplayed. And that's exactly what took place.
Yeah. I mean, so, wait, I know you probably got more questions and everything. So,
well, no, I was just going to continue on because I'm just going off of what Ron posted, your letter that you posted a couple of weeks ago on Facebook, and that's kind of what you were referencing. So there, from what I take it from your letter, the concentration is going to be more, like you said, on that Camisea area, and the troops that were more likely affected right there. That's what the DOD is going to concentrate on.
At this point, yeah. But I'm hoping, like I said, in the future, it'll expand.
Okay. And
that's what hope is.
And me and you talked about this, but now a lot of veterans are going to feel like they're being left out of the mix. If they're not amongst that 101,000 that were notified, maybe let's just say it's 100,000 troops that they're looking at. That leaves a lot of troops that are going to feel like they're not being in consideration. Now, I mean, you explained it to me, but maybe you can explain it. Why? Where are we at, or how did we get to this?
Because there's two events that they actually recognize, and I talked about those. That's Algebra and the Camisea. They don't recognize that the Czechs were picking up chemical munitions during the air war down in KKMC. They don't recognize that. Their official stance is nobody was exposed to any chemicals because there were no troops anywhere near when they were doing the bombing runs, hitting the different factories that were making the chemical weapons. And they are sticking to that. I can't make them change that. I can't make them do what the Congress can't do it. The Armed Services Committee can't do it. They cannot. The only person that maybe could would be the president if he decided to just completely declassify everything. But the chances of that happening are slim to none, because there is stuff in there that is a matter of national security. And the minute they say something about national security, it stops.
Okay, so let me stop you there. Like you say, because I ask Kevin this all the time. Maybe you do know for a fact, but what is still in there that's classified?
It's hard telling. I mean, I've never seen it. It's never been seen outside of the Department of Defense or the intelligence community.
So we don't even really know if there's anything there.
We have no idea. There may be something in there about an exposure event that could help researchers possibly develop a cure or something for better quality of life for impacted veterans. We don't know. I can't sit here and tell you, yep, 100% there's something there, just smoking gun. They could release everything and it'd be as plain as day.
It'd be worse than the Epstein list. There's just nothing there.
It's highly possible. I don't know. I mean, if you've never seen something and it's never been seen by anybody outside of the intelligence community or DOD, then I'm just making an assumption. I'm hoping there's something in there that would help. Okay. But I don't know.
So all this conspiracy stuff that I see on these different groups, this is that's all it is just conspiracy, because they haven't seen it.
100% conspiracy. Then nobody has seen it outside of those two agencies, the DOD and the intelligence community.
And if there was something there in the position that you're working right now, you would have seen it.
I wouldn't have seen it. I can't even see it.
Well, I'm not saying, but if it was going to be declassified, you'd be one of the first people to see it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm trying. I'm pushing. We just had about 5,000 documents declassified, new documents declassified within the past several weeks. But all of those were old Clinton administration documents. They're interesting to read, but there's really no smoking gun in those documents. You know, if you've never seen them, they go to NARA, NARA, and you can pull up Gulf War and you'll see them. There's thousands of them there to read, but there's no smoking gun there. What we have asked for specifically is for declassification, and I sent them a detailed list of the Asagua investigation. That was the investigation on Camasia. We'd like to have the transcripts, any interviews they conducted. I'm sure they'll have to take Social Security number off, because I'm sure there's Social Security numbers involved on these. When veterans called in, they had to give information to identify themselves. But we'd like to see that stuff. But, will we get to see it? I don't know. We're trying.
Right. And I agree with that. And I mean, man, I thank you for what you do. I think that, it's great that you step up with what you're doing and helping us. And I mean, I just don't know, with us being exposed to everything we were between, vaccines and everything else, if we'll ever really know. I mean,
we probably won't. I mean, but like I said, we're hopeful that there's something in the remaining records that the main thing to help researchers to possibly give them more information on an exposure event that could help with either a cure or, and chances are it's not going to be a cure, but something for better quality of life for impacted veterans.
Yeah.
Now, are you familiar with the NIH? They're doing that new in-depth study.
Yep.
Okay. So they're doing recruiting on it. That was actually approved, if I remember right. It was July of 23 is when the approval went through for that. Mm-hmm. And I applied for that. Got my initial interview. They are looking for 75. What qualifying was the word she used. Qualifying individuals, Desert Storm veterans. Talking to her, they're at 47.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's been 2 years.
Yep.
The study doesn't start until all the slots are filled.
Yeah. The problem with that is, and I'm going to tell you, to be honest with you, there's only about 200 to 250,000 of us that have health issues from our deployment in the Gulf. Okay, out of 697,000 that deployed. So their research has shown, I'm sure you're aware of Dr. Haley's study he did on the Pond one and all that. Yep. Well, it most likely people who have weaker genetics are more likely to end up with low-level exposures having health issues. And that's essentially what his research showed. Now, does that mean, another example, I'll explain to you like this. You may be allergic to, let's say, peanuts. You eat a peanut, it'll take you out, okay? I can eat peanuts galore. They don't impact me in any way, shape, or form. Same thing with a shellfish. You eat shellfish, you're allergic to it. You could be in the hospital where I could eat shellfish and they don't impact me. Genetics plays a huge part in the exposures, the level of exposure that a person can tolerate. Some people, I know people who served right beside me, okay, never had a health problem. 35 years in the Army, sergeant major, retired, no issues, okay? Why is that? Eating the same dirt, it comes down to genetics. Your genetics are what control how you respond to a toxic exposure.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, my main concern for me is when I wake up, I have blood on my pillow
Mm-hmm.
from my nose or from my ears. And I'm just like, God, I don't get it. And that happened 3 months after Desert Storm. I started exhibiting that problems. I had tubes up my nose. I had all kinds of things. And they were just like, we can't find anything.
Yeah.
We just don't know. I mean, it could be petroleum. It could be whatever could have been something I ate. I don't know. I have no idea. But I know I got something from out there. Can't explain it. But moving on with that, this is another thing. I want to get into presumptives.
Mhm.
Wade, I want to hit that topic.
Mhm. Yeah.
So today I got a thing from RAC and them about, types of exposures. And because I just went to my VA doctor and I just said, hey, it was like a month ago. I said, so I got a question for you. She's like, okay. My primary care said, look, there's nothing I can treat you for because we don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, there's nothing that I can do for you. There's nothing, it's just the medicine you're on helps you out, stuff like that. And so that's basically what most vets are going to get when they go to the primary care.
Yeah, they got to treat the symptoms that they have.
Yeah.
They're not going to find sarin or petroleum in your body 35 years later. Okay. Your body is doing what your body does. Okay. And your body is designed to try and fix itself. It's like if you look at the fMRI scans that Dr. Baranek did, they know the section of the brain that controls different things. Like for you to move your finger here, they know in those fMRIs, they can see that part of your brain light up. Okay. And that shows that the blood is rushing there to that part of that brain to tell that finger to do that. Well, in the brains of Gulf War veterans, they were showing that the brain is actually trying to compensate. Instead of firing right here, it's sending a signal from here over to here, up to here to get this to do this. And it's a lot of it's pretty fascinating, and there's more than one study that shows that Gulf War veterans have neurological issues. They have brain stem apathy. They have mitochondrial damage. There's a lot going on, and you're not going to find one pill to fix everything. If you go in there for neuropathy, they're going to treat your neuropathy. If you go in there for, let's say, fibromyalgia, they're going to treat your fibromyalgia with Flexeril or something, a muscle relaxer to help with the everything. I mean, there's no one thing, and most.
I think that's probably the biggest problem with the vast majority of us. We go in there and we're like, hey, listen, this is going on. And the doctor, they got to treat whatever you're feeling and try and remedy whatever it is that you're feeling, because there is no fix. And I know for a fact, we've had some people on this show and other people like, what do I do for this? There is no fix. We say it 1,000 times. Treat the symptoms. You're not going to fix what's going on in your body. If they knew that, would they share it? I don't know. Would they share a cure for cancer if there was a cure for cancer out there? I mean, you got to treat the symptoms. And I think a lot of us get frustrated. Like right now, I can't explain what's going on with myself. It's like I'm getting more pain more often, and I got to see my doctor this next month. It's for my annual. And, I don't like taking pills. I don't think anybody likes taking the pills, but hey, this is going to help you. And it's going to help if you can increase whatever it is, it's controlling whatever, short circuits we got going in our body,
Yep.
So
I would highly suggest that veterans, and some people may agree with this, some people may not, but I'm going to tell you now, it has made a huge difference in my ability to do stuff. And I simply, and I don't mean this to upset nobody, but I mean, I've lost 50 pounds in the last, I was at 297, the heaviest I'd ever been. And I'm down to 240 now. And do I need to drop more? Yeah, I need to drop more. But it's a long, drawn out process. I've done it through portion control, backing off on what I was eating. If I go out, and it's hard, sometimes you go out to eat and the portions are gigantic on the plate. You cut about half of that, you eat that, go on about your business, take the other half home, and you have that tomorrow evening for dinner. And you little things like that have made a difference, especially after I just had knee replacement surgery in April. And, it has helped make a difference. And my energy level has come up with the, after I got the pounds off of me, and I feel better. Can I breathe still? No, I still use a nebulizer and 3 inhalers a day. So, I mean, but that's not going to get any better. I mean, you can't put the genie back in the bottle once it's out.
Right.
Good way to put it. It's a really good way to put it.
I have been pushing this for, I don't know. I started in March and April. I got up to the highest weight I've ever gotten to 202 pounds. Mm-hmm. I dropped 40 pounds. My last visit at that doctor's office, she goes, I can finally say you finally have a clean bill of health. Your kidneys are getting better. Everything's getting better. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And I had to suffer. I mean, everything I eat, just to let y'all know, blackened chicken, blackened fish, blackened everything. Blackened, and I mean, stay away. And then I started a yoga workout.
Yeah.
And I used to laugh at people who did yoga. I thought that was the stupidest thing in the world. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel so much better. I feel better now than I did a year ago. I can honestly say that.
How far away is that McDonald's drive up for you there, Kev?
I haven't been to McDonald's, I don't know in how long, man.
Since the last time I busted you out, you haven't been back.
on the podcast, he's like, Kevin, hey, went to McDonald's. And I'm like, oh, man.
You're 100% correct. And I prefer holistic. When you're on 28 pills, I don't want extra pills added to a regimen.
Right.
I want holistic health, whole health. I want chiropractic care. I want massage therapy. I want stuff of that. And it's not a permanent fix for pain. Okay. But does it help you at that point in time? Yes. You can get relief. Now, if I will warn you, if you go in for massage therapy and you have pretty severe fibromyalgia, you better tell them to start out not so heavy-handed, because if you don't, somebody's going to be going through the ceiling.
Now, do you get that massage approved through the VA?
I have, yes.
Okay.
Now, they stopped doing it because they said it wasn't a permanent fix. I still get chiropractic care twice a year.
See, I go to chiropractor every 2 weeks, sometimes 3 times a month, but every 2 weeks. But yeah, I just had to sign something basically saying that it was basically helping me maintain.
Yeah. Yep. And that is correct. And the RIS did studies on this very issue. And something popped up. I'm sorry. They did studies on this very issue about the whole health approach. And a lot of veterans want this. A lot of Gulf War veterans do want this, whether it's doing Tai Chi, and that does help. Now, the problem you run into with our population, you have some pretty sick men and women out there, okay, that especially if they have chronic fatigue syndrome, and in them doing exercise, the exercise, if they do it, should be graded by a medical professional, because there's a certain level when they reach it, they're down for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And that's a step
and
back.
that is a problem. Now, my cardiologist told me, straight up, you need to lose weight, work on losing weight. She gave me a number. I said, okay. My problem that I'm running into, and it's kind of, to be honest, it's scaring me, is because and I know we talked about eating proper, trying to do some sort of exercise. With me, when I consume food, it makes no difference whether it's broccoli or whether it's a M&M. Okay, anything I got going down in the last 3 weeks, it's creating an immense amount of pain, and that pain is staying steady. I'm having to take more of my pain medicine. I always knew, I say always, I've had to recently started taking the pain medicine as soon as like 10 or 15 minutes before I'm consuming food, because I know I'm going to have pain. I've kind of been used to that. That's been a kind of a norm. But whatever is changing in my body, it's scary because there's the pain is getting more intense, and it's like that could lead to some really dangerous stuff, Lord knows I need to lose weight. I'm never going to argue that.
Is it your lower abdomen or is it your stomach
It's just my abdomen in general. And I can almost tell you, because I've had a lot of colonoscopies, I've had all kinds of tests, they can never find anything.
Have you had an endoscopy where they went in through your mouth down into your stomach to look for acid reflux, ulcers, or anything?
No, I don't.
I would
say no, Ron, but I'm not positive on that.
I would ask about it.
But also when I have a bowel movement, sometimes there's a lot of pain there. And that's when I've gone, and that's where the doctor's like, well, okay, let's go with that. And then my last colonoscopy, the doctor come back and she says, everything looks phenomenal. No issues. So it gets to be a little overwhelming, where their mental status, because like, what am I got to do? And you go to exercise, and then a day or two later that backfires, and then you've got no energy. You're like done. It's easy to say it, and we want to do it, but having the capacity to do it is the thing.
That is 100% correct. That's what I was stating with some of the people in the sick crowd within Gulf War illness. Exercise is helpful, but not all of them can do it. And if they do it, some of them need to be under doctor care while they're doing it to ensure. That's what I call grade it with a medical professional there to ensure that it's not harming them more than it's helping them.
Right.
I agree with that. And I like what Jeff asked. Any of you guys have trouble sleeping? And, he has to take Indian to sleep.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I
have sleep apnea. And,
same.
Me too.
One of the things, I'm also a member of the VA Research Advisory Committee on Gulf War illnesses, and that's one of the things we're looking at in this population of veterans is the fact that sleep apnea is higher in Gulf War veterans than it is in Vietnam veterans. I'm talking about deployed veterans, okay?
Right.
It's higher than it is in Vietnam veterans. It's higher than it is in OIF, OEF veterans. And it's actually, according to the study, it's higher than all other VHA users.
Wow.
Really? That's
that was actually VA verified by that.
Yeah, 2 different post-deployment health studies have shown this. Dr. Dursa conducted them both. And if I can find it here, I've got it. I'm sure I've got it here pretty close. I can pull it up and let you see it. Because
while you're looking that up, that's why whenever I did the workout, I couldn't do anything massive. So I found, believe it or not, got off of TikTok. Got to give credit for that. Mm-hmm. That it was called Better Me, and it was just a dad bod workout, and you sit on a chair and you exercise for 9 minutes. I did not think that thing would work at all, and it worked amazing.
Yeah, you made really good progress on it.
I made great progress.
Yeah. Let me share this with you real quick while I got you here. Okay. This here, remember I was telling you about the hand-drawn maps that General Johnson, who was our division commander, he was over us in Desert Storm. This is a thing. It says 82nd Airborne Division denial operations, 24 February to 24 March 91. And this list, it says here, totaling 53 kiloton dead weight, 13.1 kiloton net explosive weight. The Hiroshima bomb was 14 kilotons. And you can see that that's actually what he submitted to the museum for, Desert Storm. He sent this stuff to me in an email. Matter of fact, the other stuff here, you'll see here, it's got the different phase lines, A.O. Bragg. This is all hand-drawn by him while I was in Desert Storm, where all the units were and all that. So, but yeah, let me find that other thing for y'all.
You could almost like think about what was the distance when they dropped that bomb, back on in Japan.
Was the altitude, in other words, or
no, the size of how much it affected.
Okay.
So you think about how much of that affected
100,000 people when it went off.
Right.
Why they immediately surrendered. Here it is. Here it is, right here.
Yeah, I have that graph as well.
Okay.
I mean, that there tells you the story. And I mean, it's not made up. You can read what is directly from VA. There's 2 post-deployment health reports that show it. So
where are you finding that at? Where specifically, Ron, are you finding that at?
That was on VA Veterans Health Administration. It came out, I think it was March 22nd, 2019, when Dr. Dursa's report came out. I can send the reports to Wade for him to get to you.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that.
And that's the one thing about it. And knowledge is a whole lot of power. But in order to, I'm telling y'all, better eating, better lifestyle, you're better you. And that's just it. And I mean, you can ask Wade. Wade will send me, hey, what about this? Hey, what about this? And I'm like, yeah, And that's one of the things that we want to bring to this show is, we're here to share our knowledge of what helps us. So hopefully it can help them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just all the way around. But whenever I also with presumptives, a lot of people get denied for presumptives.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the topics that is very touchy. But if you have alcohol abuse, you have drug abuse, you have, you're 200 pounds overweight and all this, and you go to file like, Wade, you mind if I use you as an example?
No.
Okay, so Wade, when his pancreas was all messed up and all that, he was drinking a whole bunch before he, got into this health kick. And if he would have went and filed that on with the VA saying Desert Storm caused my pancreas, they would have looked at his back record and saw alcohol on it, and they would have said, no, it was the alcohol.
Yeah, that's highly possible. Highly possible. And matter of fact, there's 3 rebuttals in the presumptive conditions under 38 CFR 3.317, and they're under Section 7. And right here, I'll hold this up here. This is from the VA. Let me get it pulled up here. There, it keeps jumping over on me. Here's what it says. Right there, under 7. Compensation shall not be paid. Can you see it?
It's a little blurry. Read it to us.
All right. Compensation shall not be paid under this section for chronic disability if there is affirmative evidence that the disability was not incurred during active military, naval, or air service in Southwest Asia theater operations, or if there is affirmative evidence the disability was caused by supervening conditions or events that occurred between the veteran's most recent departure from active duty and in the Southwest Asia Theater of Operations and the onset of the disability, or if there is affirmative evidence that the disability is a result of the veteran's own willful misconduct or the abuse of alcohol or drugs.
Right. And that's a big deal, because a lot of people don't realize that, you know, they're also looking at what that can harm you. Them chemicals can harm you and what that can do to you. So, I mean, that's why, you know, I really want veterans to start getting a better life, get more positive. I mean, we did a show on here, Ron, that somebody put out there a post one time. I don't know who it was, but said over 50% of Gulf War veterans have died.
No.
And I was like that. And we immediately, the next week, we showed the actual figures. I was flabbergasted that somebody would put that on the Gulf War sites.
That is 100% false. This is going across social media in different groups, and it's 100% false. The VA keeps track of all. They have access to all of the state death indexes. Okay, the cancer indexes in every state. So they also have a list from every veteran who has served from the Department of Defense that they can cross-reference this. I see a lot of people throwing around that over 130,000 people from the first Gulf War died, and that's 100% false. 100% false. There is no research that shows that. The last figure over 35 years that I saw, there was some research in 2021 that showed approximately in 30 or whatever it was, 30 years, there may have been 35, 40,000 people, which, and you know, stop and think about how many people every year are killed in car wrecks. Okay. Over 100,000 every single year. So you're talking that 30, 35,000 people in 30 years. That's not terribly high.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And
Multiple illness doesn't necessarily kill. There were some conditions when we first came back. Okay, within the first 8 years, ALS was on the rise. Okay, neurological illness, but it leveled off. Brain cancer within the first 10 years after deployment, it was on the rise, but it leveled off. So you had an exposure event that impacted ALS and brain cancer for some reason. Okay, don't know why, but they made ALS presumptive for anybody who's ever served, because it's such a rare condition and impacts so few people. And we had to go before the PACT Act. On the PACT Act, I was part of that 30 veteran coalition, and we got the brain cancer included into the PACT Act for Gulf War veterans. Secretary Bob McDonald wanted it, but the people in the White House had other issues that they were working on. The same year, later that year, they did an $8 billion presumptive for Camp Lejeune. So we lost out on it because we're a smaller group.
yeah, that's what amazing. Camp Lejeune, don't get me on that, man. I tell you what, whoo, boy.
I understand completely.
I mean, I got really good friend of mine that, you know, lost her mom 4 years after being there for 4 years at Camp Lejeune. And I mean, I'm not even gonna get into that because I'll get fired up.
No, I'm not trying to get anybody fired up, but you're
No.
right. And sadly, that's one of many different toxic exposures. It's something that our cohort desperately needs. We don't need just a Gulf War specific. It's like I'm with Vietnam Veterans of America. Okay, they brought me in to advocate for sick Gulf War veterans because they were aware of my previous advocacy work I had done under the National Gulf War Resource Center. We do not have a advocacy group solely dedicated just to Gulf War veterans that has any type of of major presence anywhere on Capitol Hill or anywhere else. And one of the things that I'd like to see in the future, instead of pigeonhole, because you got to remember something, you don't want to be a last man standing advocacy group. I would like to see a group that took off and covered nothing but toxic exposures. It doesn't matter the air. It doesn't matter. And their descendants, veterans with toxic exposure and their descendants, okay? You're never going to run out of members because toxic exposures and wars aren't going anywhere. If anything, they're getting more toxic. So you're going to have people in future wars coming back that are going to need advocacy work done for them. And I'll tell you right now, Vietnam Veterans of America has been amazing to Gulf War veterans over the years. They have helped us in more ways than you can shake a stick at. Our original presumptives were included in that 91 legislation that they had for their stuff. And they have had early advocates like Steve Robertson, who worked for them, who was heavily into Gulf War veterans issues. And they have been, I mean, my agreement with them is that I signed a contract with them. They essentially, they provide me letterhead and email address, and because you can't do this type of work without having an official 501c3 email address, and they help me get into appointments that I need to be into, and my mission with them is solely first Gulf War I veterans. So that's what I do. I am a toxic wounds consultant with them, and I also, I also work with members, guys and girls that served in OIF, OEF. Toxic exposure doesn't know any boundaries, and I'll tell you right now, VBA has been a trailblazer when it comes to toxic exposures over the years.
Wow, that's fantastic. I mean, I do. That is, I thank you for what you do, because I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it, to be honest with you. Well, I mean, maybe later on down the road, but I mean, the knowledge that you have and that you brought tonight cleared a lot of things up for me. And I mean, I hope it cleared up things for John. I hope it cleared up things for Wade and people listening. But the one thing it definitely needs to clear up is that veterans need to start connecting together and working together instead of fighting.
Correct.
I've been saying this for the last, I don't know how many years. Please stop fighting with each other. I don't care what you done, what you did, and we're all in it together. We all were over there together.
Yep.
Let's start connecting and helping one another.
That would be very nice.
Yes. And Wade, I'm going to send it over to you now.
Yeah, Ron, I just want to, thank you greatly for coming on, brother. It's a really great show. I got to know you here over the last month, talking to you a lot on the phone. I'm sure we're going to be talking again. And I know if I have any questions, I know where I'm calling.
Yeah, hopefully, as we get more updates on the meetings we've had with DOD, I can provide y'all some updates. Hopefully this is sooner rather than later, but you never know with the agency. You don't know how long something's going to take. So we'll see.
And so before we knock off, and I let Wade end it, if you want to get a hold of me, please contact me at kevinsimon@goforsideeffects.com. You guys know out there, I've been getting a lot of letters. I really appreciate that and everything. And also, I really, truly want to say this for most things. If y'all need a platform to come on and say, hey, we want to get information out or this, y'all are more than welcome. This is what this is about. This is not, I don't think of it as just mine or anybody's. I think of it as all of ours. And that's why I want vets to come tell their stories. We need to document it so later on in life, the young ones don't get caught up in what we got caught up in. And this can help with a fight.
Correct.
Okay, it's all yours, Wade.
Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching tonight. John, thank you, sir. Kevin, thank you very much. And we will see everybody next Thursday night.
And now we're going into
Hey.
the after the show shows. Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
Ron.
much, everybody.